What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another video, and this time we are going to take a look at loose graded vintage Star Wars figures, AFA, UKG, and CAS. AFA has got to open back up again for loose graded submissions because there is a lack of inventory on eBay for me to cover. It's really almost UKG and CAS at this point. And CAS, by the way, recently increased their prices for loose graded submissions. So they've seen no slowdown at all in their submission rate because AFA is closed, and without a lack of competition, they set the prices. And I bet when AFA does open back up, you're going to see similar prices to CAS. Prices are not going to be what they used to be at AFA, is my guess. We're going to see significantly higher prices for loose graded figures. But nevertheless, it is what it is. It's a high inflation environment and prices are going up, and that seems to be the case even for grading. The first one we've got is a UKG 75% Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the Spanish Pac variation. And the Spanish Pac is known for kind of these mascara eyes, very deep mascara eyes, and they usually also have very tall feet. The heels on the feet are very, very tall. You can see some discoloration to that one foot there, which is common. Very pale hands on the early Spanish Pac figure, and it does have a Hong Kong country of origin on the figure, which is common for all of the Spanish Pac figures. They imported Hong Kong parts and then assembled and painted them in Spain. Tougher to get the Spanish Pacs in high grade, so this one got a 75%, probably because of the discoloration to the plastic on this one. But this one sold in a buy it now situation for 150 pounds, which is 182 US dollars. The Spanish Pac is also known to be the same mold, figure mold, and kind of paint scheme as the Mexican Lily Letty version, and they both come with very thick tip sabers. So that's just something to keep in mind for the early Spanish Pac. It's very, very in common with the Lily Letty figure. They're almost exactly the same figure, just painted and assembled in different factories. One of them in the Lily Letty factory, one of them in Spain. Next up, the same seller also had a Taiwan Boba Fett UKG 85%. Pretty decent looking figure. I've seen better 85s, but in general, this one was in pretty clean condition. Just a couple of light edge wear marks on it. And this one did have the brand new case style. And Taiwan Fett for 200 pounds. That's a pretty decent deal there. $243 plus shipping. That's not a bad deal at all for a Taiwan Fett. And I've always kind of considered them to be $300 or so, but the last couple of data points that I've seen have been kind of more around $250, and that's even for AFA graded examples. So prices have definitely come down on the Taiwan Fetts. Next up, speaking of, here is an AFA 85 Taiwan Fett, older case style, but very nice looking figure. This one's probably got a little bit better paint quality versus that UKG 85, but you know, again, older case style, and as I said, this one sold for $249.50. So kind of change your prices accordingly, because I've always considered them, like I said, to be about $300. Now it seems like $250 or so. Maybe you go up to $275 for an AFA 85 with a brand new case style, but that one did sell for $249.50 plus $10 shipping. Here was an AFA, Collector Archive Services 80 grade Lily Letty Mexican Boba Fett. And I think that this one was probably overgraded, if you ask me. You can see a really bad paint discoloration or paint's missing on the chest armor there. I don't know if this is really an 80. You can see some also paint wear on the helmet, on the visor, the red portion of the visor there. To me, this is really more like a 75 plus, if you ask me. And I think the price reflected that. It sold for $484.79 plus $10.65 shipping. You know, I think an AFA 80 grade, so apples to apples in terms of the same grade. If this was an AFA 80, probably talking $550, maybe $600. And so this one was appropriately discounted because I do think that it was probably slightly overgraded. Next up was a beautiful 12-inch Boba Fett CAS 85, loose graded 12-inch Boba Fett. This one's got a great case. I love the way that Collector Archive Services encased this one, and also very high grade. Look how beautiful that looks. And here's the back of the figure as well. So really nice. They've got kind of the cape framed next to Boba Fett along with the pistol and the rocket pack. So really nice case. I would worry a little bit about this making it through shipping. Hopefully the seller packs that really well, but it sold for big money, $1,225. That's a lot of money, but certainly a beautiful example and very, very high grade, 85 grade for the 12-inch series Boba Fett. So $1,225, took that home in an auction, 40 bids on that one. That one closed on October 20th. Here was one I sent out to my Patreon supporters in a Buy It Now alert, and one of my Patreon supporters did end up getting it for a slight discount. This one was the Raised Bar China, blank Raised Bar China COO for Luke Skywalker X-Wing. And I've just found this one to be harder to find than the standard Hong Kong. These only appeared on like Return of the Jedi card backs, later US Return of the Jedi card backs. So there's not as many of these, I feel like, loose graded versus the Hong Kong figure. And so I've got a trio of different Luke X-Wings. This is the first one, a CAS 80 grade blank Raised Bar China, and that one sold for $100 plus $9.35 shipping. My Patreon supporter might have made an offer on this one and got it slightly less, but $100 on that, that's a pretty good deal. And this one was actually in Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, so I have no idea who that was. That was not me, but really nice looking blank Raised Bar China Luke X-Wing for $100. And then CIB, Collectibles Investment Brokerage, which is affiliated with AFA, they had a few loose graded figures I wanted to cover. This is the funniest one. This is a PBP, Spanish PBP Luke X-Wing, but as you can see, the head looks like a bobble doll. He's kind of like bobbling around like this. And that's a common defect for the Spanish figures, is that they have really weak sonic welding that holds the figure together. I've seen on Facebook some collectors, they have a figure and then it just falls apart in their hand because the sonic welding is so poor. So my guess is on this one, it's got pretty weak welding, so the head is not held in place properly, and that's why it's kind of loose. This one had the older case style. It was an AFA 60 PBP variant. So this is an older kind of label from AFA, but it was only a 60 grade, but still a nice looking figure. This is a common defect, is that the emblems on the helmet kind of wear off really easily. And so that's the case with this one. He's got no emblems, and the stripe on his helmet has also got a lot of heavy wear to it. Rest of the figure's decent shape. I mean, the hands have some wear to it, but, you know, not a high grade, but it is a Spanish PBP. This is the pink face PBP. This one sold for $51. I mean, that's grading costs, right? $51 plus $12 shipping. Pretty good deal, though, for a Spanish figure, even though it's low grade. And then the same seller, CIB, also had a 75 grade. Now, as you can tell, this one was also an older case style, and it also has the older label. It's labeled as Pink Face Hard Torso Scar COO. So it is the Spanish PBP, but nowadays they say Kenner/PBP on the AFA label. So, you know, AFA is all over the place. I mean, this one says PBP variant. This one doesn't say PBP variant, but it says Pink Face Hard Torso Scar. Both of them are Spanish PBPs. There's also a Paleface PBP Luke X-Wing. So this one sold for $86 for an AFA 75. That's a pretty good deal. I'd pay that all day long. Both of those I thought were really great deals. They also had an uncirculated 95 old label from UKG. And this is for 8D8, the torture droid in Jabba's dungeon. This one sold for $167.50. So even though it's an older case, an older label from UKG, it is an uncirculated 95. UKG stopped doing uncirculated grading for loose figures a while ago, but at least here's one that CIB managed to get a hold of, and they're probably selling it for a collector. You know, they do consignments sometimes. This one's, again, sold for $167.50 plus $12 shipping. They also had a bootleg, a Mexican bootleg from the 1980s for Luke Bespin. This one was graded 75, and this is a static bootleg that doesn't move. It just uses the Kenner mold, and it's kind of like a hard rubber type of material. I've got one of these that's in kind of a lighter color, like a very light peach color. This one's more of a dark tan. And that one, again, was graded CAS 75. That one sold for $190.50. Pretty good deal. These have really come down. All the static Mexican bootlegs from the 1980s, it's hard to differentiate them versus kind of the modern customs that you see all over eBay. So you really got to know your stuff when you're buying Mexican bootlegs. And as a result, I feel like a lot of collectors have moved away from Mexican bootlegs, at least these static ones, and the prices reflect that. They've just come down quite a bit. But again, that one sold for $190.50 in an auction, 27 bids. And then also CIB had this PvP Stormtrooper, hard torso and limbs, AFA 80 plus. So another Spanish figure with the brand new K-style. Beautiful example, and the price reflected it, of course. $332. It's very nice and bright white. You know, just a little bit of wear to the hands, I think, is the main reason. Maybe on the hips as well. The black paint on the hips and the hands were probably the only reason why this one did not get an 85, because the limbs and everything was still very nice and white, and the helmet was in good shape. So anyway, that was a really nice looking Spanish figure, and, you know, again, it sold for big money, $332 plus $12 shipping. Let's dig into some last 17 that were loose graded. Most of these, if not all of these, are collector archive services graded, because, again, AFA is closed, and there's just not a lot of data out there other than kind of one-off figures here and there for AFA loose graded figures. So here was a Lando General, CAS 85 plus grade. Beautiful example, really nice looking case style with the Palace Black Blaster. That one sold for $272 in an auction, plus $529 shipping. That's a good deal. That's a really good price, I think, for a nice high-grade Lando. Several different Imperial Gunners sold. We had an 85 grade Imperial Gunner. This one sold for $280. I mean, really, really good prices. It was a CAS 85. It did have one little nick on the belt buckle, which probably held the grade down just a little bit, but overall pretty clean. I can't really see the emblems and how clean those are because no side profile photos were shown, but this one was freshly graded by CAS for in an 85 grade, and that one again sold for $280 in an auction. And then this seller had a number of different last 17 that were all loose graded figures along with the Power of the Force coin inside. And this one was a CAS 90 grade for the coin and the actual figure. So you can see there, it's interesting because this is an older label from CAS. So now I think nowadays they grade the coin as well as the figure and kind of come up with an average or whatever they want to do. But for this one anyway, this was an older grade, and it just had a single grade. So this one was 90 loose graded and displayed with the coin. So maybe he had Collector Archive Services only grade the figure and not the coin. I don't know. But anyway, that's a really nice looking display, but you can tell it's a little bit more rudimentary style to how they encase the weapons versus nowadays. It's a much cleaner look, as you can see there for this Lando's blaster there. It's a much cleaner look in terms of the etched accessory case versus some of these more rudimentary styles that they used to use. So anyway, this one did sell for $445 and change plus $10.65 shipping. And again, that was a CAS 90 grade Imperial Gunner. Same seller also had an EV99 encased with the coin. This was graded CAS 85. That one sold for $485 and change plus $10.65. Pretty good price on that one as well. Really like that EV99. I'm going to aim to get one of those loose graded probably next year. But great looking display there for EV99. Here was Warwick. This Warwick was graded 90 from CAS and included the coin. That one sold for $260 plus $12.45 shipping. Here was the Imperial Dignitary. This one was graded 90 plus. So very, very high grade Imperial Dignitary. No nose rub, which is the common problem with the Imperial Dignitary. But what a beautiful display. Very, very high grade, 90 plus. And that one sold for $238.50. That's a bargain of a deal, if you ask me, for a nice high grade last 17 Imperial Dignitary. And then they also had Barada with the coin. That one was graded CAS 85 plus. And that one sold in an auction on 28 bids for $270 plus shipping. So pretty good deals all the way around on all of these auctions. So you just got to keep your eyes out. And then the final one from this seller was the A-Wing Pilot. And that one was graded 90 by CAS. That one sold for $430 plus $12.45 shipping. So, you know, given that a lot of these figures sell for not much less than that, loose, ungraded. I mean, we talk about it all the time in our loose complete videos that are ungraded. You know, oftentimes this A-Wing Pilot can sell for $300 to $350 or so ungraded. And this one was graded 90. It included the coin. Really nice display to get it for $430. Pretty good bargain there if you ask me. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at recent sales on eBay for loose graded vintage Kenner Star Wars figures. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.